And like I just see him sitting there, and I'm like, whoo, like this like rush of like just like emotions just like came over me, and I'm like, not a lot of people get to see this.
Dark side of the Force is a pathway to many abilities some consider to be unnatural.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Sith Talk. Today we have on the show Gabe from the Star Wars Replicas Instagram, YouTube channel, and many more. How you doing, Gabe?
Good, man. Thank you so much for inviting me, man.
No, of course. So tell us a little bit about your channels, your pages, and where we can find you at.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So yeah, I'm on all. My name is Gabe Estrada, and I'm on all social media platforms except for TikTok. I just changed it, but Star Wars Replicas. Instagram, YouTube. YouTube is kind of where I started. So YouTube is kind of where my the kind of the obviously the long form content is.
Yeah.
And then on TikTok, I'm on there as Empire Archive. I just changed that recently. Yeah,
Nice.
but
So
yeah,
for you,
appreciate it, man.
for you guys watching, be sure to go check them out. I'm gonna put the links to everything down in the description. Man, your room is like so famous. I've known you like you've had that setup for years, right? Like years. Like how long?
Uh, I mean, this setup here, maybe like 5 years, right? 6 years. No, yeah, it's 6 years now.
Yeah, because I remember seeing this room, and I've seen your room, and I've known your room before I knew it was yours, just
Mhm.
because it was always being shared everywhere online.
Yeah.
So, man, like that collection room, like, how does it feel every time you walk in there? You must just get like a huge smile on your face, like every single time.
Oh yeah, no, I mean the collection room obviously is the famous thing. And what's funny is that I wasn't really like a kind of a front facing account. Like I really didn't like show my face all
Yeah.
too much. I'd always talk about the props and I would show the stuff. But yeah, that opening of the room and like that pan just got shared everywhere. I mean, it had like millions of views, just everywhere. And but yeah, but funny enough, I before this, I started in my garage
Hmm.
at my previous house. And back in those days, there really wasn't anyone making content around prop replicas.
Yeah.
And that's kind of why I started it because at that time I was still building my collection, and I just there's nothing out there for me to like reference. Especially
Yeah.
I started collecting like the master replica stuff, and
Ooh.
by then, like when I was still building it, they're already long gone. So there's times where like I would buy something, I was like, well, is it supposed to come with this plaque? Is it supposed to come with this? So then, I started a YouTube channel to really unbox the stuff that I was getting
Hmm.
for two reasons. For not only for educational purposes to show people, because again, Master Replicas went out of business in the early 2000s,
Yeah.
show them kind of what's supposed to come in it. But number two, to open it just in case mine was missing something. So then I have it
Ooh.
documented. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. No, exactly. It's so funny. Earlier today at work, I was talking to two of my coworkers,
Mhm.
and I was telling them that I'm going to be recording tonight for my podcast with you.
Mhm.
And I was like, "Yeah, you probably seen them before on Instagram, Star Wars Replicas." And they were like, "Is that the guy with the room with the Emperor chair in the middle?" Everybody right away, like two separate people, they're like, "That's the dude with the Emperor chair in the middle of the room with everything in the glass cases." I was like, "Yeah." It was so funny that I barely described you to them, and right away they knew who you were like instantly.
Yeah. Yeah, that's usually my go-to, right? Like if someone asks or like someone's a Star Wars fan, like they usually won't recognize me like directly. It's usually after I like pull out my phone. I'm like, oh yeah, this is my collection room. They're like, oh, that's you.
Yeah.
That's your
Yeah.
collection.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So everyone that comes on the show, I start off with 3 questions to warm them up. You ready?
Yeah, for sure.
All right. So the first one is, what is your favorite Star Wars movie?
Got it. Yeah, no, Return of the Jedi for sure. Return of the Jedi.
Nice.
Um, just that's the one that I grew up on that movie. That's the
Mhm.
one that came out when I was a kid. It's the only one of the originals that I got to see in the movie theater when I was a kid.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
and it was just kind of, again, growing up seeing like the Jabba scene, and then you got the Endor scene, and there's a lot of action going on.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was always been my favorite.
Bro, I love Return of the Jedi. Like, you could never go wrong with that film. That's cool though that you got to see that in theaters and like you remember like seeing it and going there and everything.
I don't remember because I was
Oh,
little. I must have been probably like 3 years old or
oh,
something.
okay,
Yeah,
gotcha,
I just
gotcha.
I remember my parents telling me like, yeah, like we took you, because
That's
I had an uncle that was like, I think like 7 years older than me, and so at that time he must have been like 10,
mhm.
11, and then they took both of us to the to go watch it. But
Yeah,
I was a little kid, so I didn't remember.
yeah,
But after that, renting the movies, and just every time we'd go to the video store, that was like my go-to. I'm like, Return of the Jedi.
yeah, yeah. No, that's awesome. So the next one is, what's your favorite Star Wars show?
Ooh, Andor.
Oh,
And,
really?
yep, hands down, man.
Wow. Why Andor?
Andor, it just, what, the storytelling on it, I think for me was great. Like, a
Uh-huh.
lot of people complain about it was a slower paced show, like not a lot of things were happening. But to me, I enjoyed kind of really getting to know that character.
Uh-huh.
And you kind of really, you get to really learn about the characters because it was so slow paced. Not only
Yeah.
that, but I think it was it's a very important moment in Star Wars history, right? It's like the
Yeah.
spark of the rebellion, like where it starts. So like, to me, that leading up to Rogue One and then leading up to the original trilogy,
Mhm.
I'm like, this is perfect to me.
Yeah.
It was just an adult Star Wars show. You know what I mean? Like, to me, that it felt like a little kid wouldn't sit there and watch it.
No, yeah.
Focused towards.
No, not at all. That's crazy. That's cool though. So with Andor, it's like people either love it or they didn't. For me, it wasn't my favorite. There were some things I enjoyed in it for sure, but
Mhm,
like the second season, I saw the trailer at London Celebration
mhm.
and it looks like really, really good. Like it picks up a lot. So definitely looking forward to that. But like when I went into Andor, I think I was expecting too much of Rogue One, and I freaking loved Rogue One. Rogue One was so good. And it
Yeah.
was like it was kind of like that, but the opposite at a different pace.
Mhm.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to the second season. But man, those first 3 episodes were tough for me to get through, man.
Yeah, no, it definitely, again, they were definitely slow, but again, I think just that dynamic, you got to see Andor, like, I don't know, even just that first episode where he like shoots the cop and he's just like pa pa. I was like,
Cold blooded.
oh,
Yeah.
like what?
Yeah.
Like, it really goes to show like what he's, his character, right? Like, that's a
Yeah.
huge character development. But yeah,
Yeah.
Andor.
Nice, nice. So the last question is, what or who is your favorite Star Wars character?
Ooh, Tarkin.
Really?
I'm up to. I got him tattooed on me. Look
Oh,
at it.
I've never heard anybody say Tarkin. That's awesome. Why Tarkin?
Tarkin, man. You know what? It was growing up. I always like gravitated towards like the Empire, and like, if actually, if you look at my helmet wall, they're all Imperial helmets. That's all it is.
Yeah.
And I really gravitated towards that. I don't know, something about it, but Tarkin specifically, when I was growing up, and again, it might have been kind of that uncle that I had that was a big Star Wars fan and all that.
Yeah.
But like, he pointed out something like real when I was really young, because a lot of people gravitate towards Darth Vader, right? It's like, oh, Vader's my favorite character,
Yeah.
Vader. But Tarkin checks Vader. Like,
Yeah.
like it, especially in the first one, right? In A New Hope, he's straight up like, Vader, release him, like, like a dog, and he's like,
Yeah.
you wish. So like, to me, I grew up seeing Tarkin as the main boss, right? Of course,
Mhm.
later the Emperor, then I was like, oh, the Emperor, that's even higher up there. Like,
Yeah.
so for some reason, I always saw Vader as kind of just like a soldier, like, you know what I mean? Like he was just kind of like the I don't know, the pit bull of the,
Yeah.
empire, right? But the bosses are the ones that I'm like, yeah, like Tarkin is the boss, the emperor is the boss.
Yeah.
So, but yeah,
That
not only that, but Tarkin also, I have a secondary kind of reason why I like him, and
mhm,
Christopher Lee, because I also really like the old horror films,
mhm.
and him and Christopher Lee were in a lot of old Hammer films where they
Oh.
played like, Dracula and Van Helsing, or
Yeah.
like, Dr. Frankenstein and the monster. So they're always in these old like B horror films together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is so awesome, man. I love that. Now, did you, like, enjoy every time we got Tarkin in animated? Because like, he was in Clone Wars a couple episodes, popped up in Bad Batch, like, you must have been hyped every time you seen him then, right?
Yeah, man. Yeah, and they did such a good job too. I was mostly excited about them to see how they're going to do it in Rogue One,
Yeah.
and it was good. Like when you watch the movies, I was like, all right, it's good. Now when
Yeah.
I watch it again, like in the like Disney Plus or whatever, I'm like, they could have done it a little bit better.
Yeah.
Now that technology's kind of matured a little bit with the like deep fakes and stuff,
Yeah.
but yeah, man, every time I get excited. Yeah, Bad Batch, especially just recently, I was like, yeah, Tarkin.
Yeah. He was in there a lot in
Mhm.
Bad Batch, and he was like, he was, he was, like, just checking everybody. Oh, Hemlock, he was always talking
Mhm.
smack to Hemlock, "Oh, like, we'll see, I'm coming, we'll see."
Yeah,
Like, yeah, that was super
yeah,
dope.
yeah,
That's
man.
freaking awesome,
Yeah, so,
man.
like, honestly, like, my top 3 characters right now, it would be, like, it'd be Tarkin number 1, the Emperor number 2, and most recently, Thrawn number 3.
Ni
So you could kinda tell, like,
nice.
it's like, I like the smart, kind
Yeah.
of like villains, or you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, especially Thrawn, man. I freaking love Thrawn,
Yeah.
how he's such a badass villain and he has no powers, like no force powers. He's not super strong, like no nothing. He's just
Yeah,
all in his mind. He's so strategic.
yeah,
And I cannot wait till we get more of him in live action. At the end of Ahsoka, I was so hyped to see him pull up on Dathomir with a bunch of Night Sisters back in the galaxy, ready to go. It's gonna get buck wild with him, hopefully.
yeah, man. Yeah, I hope so. The Ahsoka series is one of those ones that I was really stoked for. Which is funny because like I'm a late bloomer when it comes to the Clone Wars. Like
Yeah,
I didn't grow up watching them. I didn't, I in fact the first time I even watched them was during around the shutdown, like the COVID shutdown.
yeah,
I just started watching them with my daughter because I was like, you know what? There's gonna be an Ahsoka series. Like, I should probably know something about Ahsoka.
yeah,
We started watching them and then just fell in love with Ahsoka. And I'm like, man, like she's badass and she's
yeah,
freaking Anakin's Padawan. Like, what? Like, who knew, right? I mean,
yeah, yeah,
everyone that grew up with Clone Wars knew, but I didn't know because I ignored the cartoons so much for so many years.
yeah,
Um, but it was cool because like watching the Clone Wars, not only did I come out with like a new kind of favorite, one of my favorite characters is Ahsoka, but
yeah,
also like a new appreciation for the prequels, which is something that was like lacking for me because I when I watched the prequels, I was already an adult. Like I was already 18, 19, 21 or something, like when the three
yeah,
came out. And I was one of those like prequel haters when they came out, right? I was
yeah,
like, what, Georgia? What? Like a
yeah,
lot of people. I mean, the big part of the community, was kind of hating on the especially episode 1 and episode 2. Um, but watching Clone Wars and like learning about Darth Maul's like backstory and like that whole thing, man, just gave it a whole new level of like dimension. And now I'm like, dude, I how did I hate the episode 1, episode 2?
yeah.
These are awesome.
Yeah, literally, that's the same thing with me. I got into animation late and it gave me a newfound appreciation. So, the prequels were the first movies that I saw in theaters. So, I was 14 when Phantom Menace came out. So I enjoyed them,
Yeah.
but even back then, to me, I always was like, they're cool, but like the OG is the real Star Wars. Like that's my favorite. This is cool, but like I was OG all day. And then when the Solo movie came out, what was that, 2018? I
Mhm.
went and saw Solo, and when Darth Maul popped up at the end, I'm like, this dude died in Phantom Menace. Like, how is he alive?
Yeah.
And then I Googled it and I'm like, oh, they brought him back in Clone Wars and Rebels, which I never watched. So I binged all 6 seasons of Clone Wars, all 4 seasons of Rebels. And I'm like, holy shit, I've missed all this storytelling for so long. Like the Mortis arc, all the stuff in Rebels with the World Between Worlds, and like Ahsoka fighting Anakin. Like, there's so many amazing stories in Clone Wars and Rebels. It's crazy that I was that late to it.
Right.
And now when I watch the prequels again, it's like in the back of my mind, all those stories of Obi and Anakin
Yeah.
and Ahsoka and Maul coming back and Dooku and Grievous. Like we got so much more of all those people that we got like a little bit in. It's crazy that Filoni definitely enhanced the
Yeah.
prequels like with those series.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely, man. Yeah. No, even just recently, I got invited to one of the marathons,
Oh
and
yeah.
yeah, and so like I got to watch them in the movies, and I'm watching it. And even episode 3, I'm like watching and I'm seeing the clones, and I'm like, oh, like there's
Yeah, yeah.
and I'm like recognizing the clones now, and I'm like, oh shit, like I forgot
Yeah.
they were in there. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's so dope, super dope. Now, I wanna talk about collecting in your collection. So, like, how long have you been building it? And you strictly only get official prop replicas, right? Why did you stick to that?
Yeah, yeah, I try, right? I mean, to be honest, look, it's hard to avoid, because there's so many great artists out there. There's so many great makers that are making stuff that it's like mind blowing, and it blows some of the licensed stuff out of the water, right? I
Mhm,
think for me, it was just the fact of where I started, right? When I first started collecting this stuff, um, only master replicas existed.
mhm.
As far as like, well, icons had the license before, but then it was master replicas. So I started collecting at the heyday of like master replicas, where they're pumping out all these lightsabers, all these helmets,
Yeah,
and they're great. They all came with their displays, with their plaques. Like some of them were signature edition, so you're able to get like Mark Hamill's autograph, and like all these actors like Christopher Lee on Count Dooku's lightsaber. So like to me, that sets a standard, right?
yeah,
And around that same time, I was really involved in the RPF, and mostly because not necessarily for Star Wars props, but for other props, because I also started collecting other movie prop
yeah,
replicas. But what I started noticing around that time is that just the quality of the craftsmanship of like the people that were making it, like from their
mhm,
garage, to me didn't feel like it met the same standards as like master replicas at that time, right? Of course, now fast forward, 3D printing started becoming more available. I think that just totally changed the game, right? Because as soon as
yeah,
3D printing, especially with like resin printers and like high definition printers, that just changed everything. So yeah, so the reason I kind of focus on licensed stuff is because I kind of completed my collection really with master replicas and EFX, and that
mhm,
was it. Like I was done, and Novos when they got
yeah,
for the helmets. I started collecting all the helmets, but at one point, like I was like, all right, I'm cool. I got all the Imperial helmets that I wanted. I got all the original trilogy lightsabers that I wanted. Some of the prequel ones, like Yoda's and like Sidious and
mhm,
Count Dooku's, like some of the ones that I really really like wanted the character's lightsaber. So like to me, I was kind of satisfied, right? I was like, all right, my collection's done. I don't need to get something unlicensed because I'm done with my collection. Uh,
yeah,
and then the R2, like I started building the R2. I was part of the R2 Builders Club, so that was like my first like unlicensed replica, right? But it's a little bit different because you're building it.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but yeah, but now, fast forward, obviously there's a lot of makers that, and I have a few of them that are floating around here that I just couldn't pass up. It's like,
Yeah.
man, so cool, and the talent out there is amazing. So
Yeah. No, for sure. So what's your favorite piece in your collection?
yeah, ooh, that's a good one. Um, I mean, honestly, like I always go back to this one, and it's probably gonna be that Rancor right there, and that's
Ooh.
the Regal Robot. Basically, it's a scan of the puppet, right? The one
Uh-huh.
that's in the archives. Let me see if I can scoot up closer. So Regal Robot went into the Lucasfilm archives and digitally scanned the original puppet.
Yeah.
And so basically, this is what the same. Basically, it's the same one you see in Return of the Jedi.
Uh-huh.
And they made 83 of these. This one's
Ooh.
number 8, and it's like autographed by Phil Tippett. And it's just like, it's one of those pieces that I never in my wildest dreams imagined that I would own, because like,
Yeah.
who would ever go into the archives and, again, 3D scan, a puppet, right? Like, it just, to me,
Yeah.
not doable until Regal Robot came around, and they're like, yeah, we're gonna do it. And yeah, so that's
That's
probably my favorite. Just because, man, that's
yeah.
awesome.
That's crazy. So what's the item that's like the most valuable or maybe even like rarest in your collection?
The rarest. Ooh. I mean, there's definitely a few that are in here. I mean, I have like screen use props, right? So like
Ooh.
some screen use props. So that thing right there,
Uh-huh.
that's actually from Andor. So remember
Oh,
the very
shit.
last scene in Andor when they blow up the tank
Uh-huh.
and it sparks the revolution, like it sparks the rebellion.
Yeah.
That cannon was on that tank, and it was a practical tank that they actually blew up. So it's all burnt up. It's all like broken. Like
Damn.
the glue is exposed right there because there's another little scope part that's hooked on it. That's
Yeah.
all messed up. The screws are all rusted because it was outside. They just left it outside to kind of, they were gonna throw it away, and someone picked it up, and it ended up in one of the auctions, and I ended up
Oh.
winning that auction. So yeah, that's a piece. So of course that's gonna be rare just because it's
Yeah.
being used. Um, this this Kylo Ren lightsaber right here is also extremely rare.
Uh-huh.
That's the Prop Shop lightsaber, and Prop Shop is the prop company that made the original ones for the Force Awakens,
Oh, okay.
and so they're in the UK, and they were given the license to make some replicas, and they were going to make them in studio exactly how they made the originals. Well, what happened is that they lost the license within like maybe 6 months of having it,
Mhm.
and Disney issued refunds to everybody that had pre-orders. So
Oh.
only a few of these went out to people, and I'm just one of the lucky ones that ended up getting.
Wow.
Yeah, so this one's actually like the closest thing you can get to the Kylo Ren lightsaber, because it was made by the same studio that made the real ones, 3D printed parts, metal, painted by the same people that made the original.
Yeah.
So that thing's actually pretty rare. And in fact, like some of them come up for auction every once in a while because, I mean, people still sell them here and there. Some collectors that still
Yeah.
have them, but yeah, like up in auction, they go for a pretty penny. And just because, again, they're so rare, so many people were disappointed because they got their refunds. But actually, funny enough, that's kind of what kicked off my like YouTube channel, because
Oh.
that was my first like unboxing video, and I opened
Yeah.
it up, and the lightsaber was purple. Like it was like a bluish purplish tint.
Uh-huh.
It didn't have any black tint, like black paint on it. And I like open it, and I'm like, and you could see it. It's like one of my first videos. And then
Yeah.
you hear my voice, and I'm like, I didn't expect it to be this blue. Like that's so weird.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm like, and it was at that time, it was probably the most expensive like retail prop replica that was out there. Like, you know, a lightsaber, because master
Yeah.
replicas, they used to retail for like $300, $400, $700 for like the signature edition. That one was $1,500 plus shipping and all that stuff. So it was one of the
Yeah.
more expensive ones at that time. And again, I open it up and I'm like super disappointed.
Mhm.
And so I like hit him up and I'm like, hey, like here's pictures. Like it's blue, like it's not black. Like it's definitely defective. Like you missed a step in the process and forgot
Yeah.
black. So then they're like, okay, yeah, we'll replace it. So just pack it back up, ship it back to us. I pack it up, I ship it back. I kid you not, that week, literally that week when I sent it back, is when everyone started getting the emails where they're canceling all the pre-orders. So I was like, no, like, what did I
No.
do? I should have kept the blue one. Like now I'm
Yeah.
screwed. I'm gonna get my money back, and like now I'm never gonna have this. But lucky enough, like 2, 3 weeks after, like I get the shipping notification, and I'm like, what? Like I'm getting it. And then
Yeah.
so I think they might have actually sent me one of their like artist proofs. Yeah,
Oh.
I thought it was maybe the convention one, but later I found the person that owns the convention one. So then
Uh-huh.
I was like, no, so definitely mine's not. But I think it was definitely one of the it was either one of the masters or one of the artist proofs, because
Yeah.
again, by that time they weren't even making anymore. It was just like they sent me the replacement and that was it. So mine's actually one of the cleanest ones that I've seen,
Uh-huh.
as far as like the craftsmanship, because like they might have lost license because they're getting sloppy, you know, like
Mhm.
as the products were coming in, they were, like I said, I got a blue one, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So this one is one of the better ones that I've seen, which again, kind of fortunate that I ended up having it, right?
How many of those, Kylos do you think are out there that people actually got?
So definitely only like a handful. I mean, I think I'd probably say probably under 30, but
Yeah.
probably closer to 20.
Mhm.
Because again, there's a lot of like flaws in them, you know, as people were getting them.
Yeah.
In fact, I one just popped up on a prop store auction, maybe like a couple months ago, and ended up selling for like, I want to say like 7,000 pounds. So probably about like maybe closer to $10,000. And
Yeah.
when I started looking at the pictures, I was like, oh my God, that's horrible. Like there's parts that were like all like sanded like down. They're like
Mhm.
shaven down. There was like the weathering was off. There was some gaps on the top part of like where the emitter is. It was just a bad one. And so I'm like, man, like if those are going for that price for that crappy one, like mine is like
Yeah.
beautiful. And again, I have everything, you know, came with it. So
That is so awesome. That's so cool, man. So, your R2, I know you said you built it. How long did that take? It was it like a pain in the ass?
you know what? Yeah, I mean, it was. I think for me, what was pain in the ass was waiting for the runs. So basically, what
Mm.
happens is when you're a part of the R2 Builders Club, there's a lot of options, right? You can build it yourself. The plans are there, you know,
Mhm.
the CADs, the blueprints, they're all there for you to do. But of course, like I don't know how to like machine a dome out of aluminum.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know how to do any of that. So what happens is there's certain people across the country that kind of specialize in that, right? So there's like one guy that's like he's known to make domes, but because it's kind of affiliated with Lucasfilm, right? Or it's sanctioned by Lucasfilm. Like basically they're saying, all right, cool, you could make these R2s, you just can't make profits. You know, it's kind of like the fire
Yeah.
first, right? Like
Mhm.
you can't profit off of it. You can't be selling them. In fact, you can't even take them out in public for like special events unless you get Lucasfilm's authorization. So there's a
Yeah.
lot of like weird little rules. But but yeah, so basically what you have to do is you have to kind of hit up these people that make certain parts, right? Um,
Yeah.
and maybe they'll do like one run per year, and maybe it's only like 30 of them, right? But of course, there's like people waiting months or years for a certain part. So they
Yeah.
like jump on and put their name in the run. So I think that was the most frustrating part for me because I'm not very patient. So I got
Yeah.
to the point where like, I had like the frame built and I put my skins on, but I couldn't get like the little parts, right? Like the coin slots or like, the center parts, because I had to wait for someone to machine them so I can get on the run.
Wow.
So a lot of the parts, so my art too is kind of mixed and match because I'm so impatient. Um, so the dome is aluminum. Most of the parts on the dome are aluminum. There's some resin parts.
Yeah.
The frame is wood underneath, so it's like the old traditional way of making art
Ooh.
too.
Yeah.
The skins are actually styrene, so they're plastic, and I hand cut the skins. So like the shell,
Wow. Yeah.
um, like some of the slots are like aluminum, some are resin that are just painted to look like aluminum. The legs are wood, but all the parts are aluminum. It operates. It's RC. The lights turn on. So yeah, man, it was a labor of love. It took me maybe about 2 years, maybe to get it all put together,
Yeah.
and it's still not done. I mean, I still have a lot of things to do on it, but it looks presentable for display purposes. So I kind of just left it. But
It looks beautiful, man.
thank you, man. And what's funny is that you know it was one of those things that like I've never built anything like that, and I've never been like
Yeah.
very handy. I'm not like building stuff in the house or anything like that. In
Yeah.
fact, I think I barely just own like a power drill at that point. But what's funny is that art too, like, I don't know, man. It opened up so like it maybe my confidence and like, oh shit, like I could
Yeah.
do this, or like I could paint something that looks weathered, that looks cool, like, and I
Mhm.
could do it myself. And it gave me this weird sense of confidence. And now I'm like a handyman around the house. I'm like, oh, I'll build that. I'll build this. I built my whole room, like this whole room.
Yeah.
Like I put it all together. A lot of people are like, oh, did you hire someone to? And I was like, no, man. Like I got IKEA frames and I like put them
Yeah.
together and did all that. I learned how to paint. So like I painted this like K3PO myself, learned
Mm.
how to weather, all because of the art too. So it's kind of funny.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's dope. So that room, is that actually like a hidden room? Because like the videos like on your Instagram, is it like a bookcase like in your living room or something? You push it in and your room's there?
Yeah, it's kind of yeah, it's a little bit of a like it's not really hidden because
Uh-huh.
there's this gigantic window right here looking out to
Oh,
this like family room. Um,
yeah.
but I guess if you didn't see this big window like looking in, yeah, it's
Yeah.
behind a bookshelf. So the only way
Oh.
to get in is through the bookshelf. But it looks really cool. Like actually at nighttime, like if you had
Mhm.
like everything off and you basically all you can see is the helmet display. It looks
Ooh.
super cool, like with the lights all dim, and like it could be watching a movie or something on the other side, and I like
Yeah.
look over and it's just like all dark in here, and it's just like the dim lights on all the helmets. I'm like,
Yeah.
man, I just love the way that looks.
That's so dope. I thought that window for a second was like a two-way mirror, and, like,
Oh,
I thought it was, like, a hidden room like that where you could see out there, but they can't see you, like, kinda
oh,
deal.
yeah,
Yeah.
no. Here, I'll actually walk you guys out here. Not a lot of people get to
Woo!
see this part. Um, but here, let me.
That is so crazy.
Yeah. So as you can see, there's a room. Watch. Let me turn.
Oh, okay, okay,
You can
okay.
see. But like,
Oh, that is so sick.
and when the lights are all dim, like sometimes I'll
Yeah.
just have that back wall lit, and it just looks cool. Like when when people come over. So yeah, so then there's this secret door right here, which is the you know
And did you build that door in that wall?
yeah.
What?
Yeah. Well, not the wall was here. Like this was
Oh,
always an
okay.
office. Um
Oh, okay, okay.
yeah, this was always an office in the house. In fact, when we bought the house, that was like one of my first things when I saw this little room in here. I was
Yeah,
like, "Oh, like that's my Star Wars room. Like that's it right
yeah.
there." And my wife's like, "Fine, you can have that room for your Star Wars." But you know what's funny is that, a lot of people ask me about the displays and like how I did it or why I
Yeah,
made them the way it is. Honestly, a big part of it was because of my wife, because of this big window. So I
yeah,
knew that this big window was here. So I was like, it can't look cluttered. It needs to look real, like nice, like museum style, because
yeah.
people are going to be able to see it from the other side. So I want to make it look like super nice and super clean. So,
That is bro, that is awesome, man. Like, that room is like Disneyland, bro. Like, you need to sell tickets for people to go in there and just visit. That's so
right.
sick, man.
Yeah,
Wow.
man. No, anytime. I usually it's sometimes it's a little weird because people do ask me like, "Hey, like I'm gonna be in town. Like, can I stop by and see your collection room?" And I'm like, "Yeah, yeah." Like it's
Yeah,
only if
yeah.
like I'm really familiar with them, like
Yeah.
like, on social. I mean, because most of the time we're friends on social media, right? But I'm
Yep.
like, it's like inside my house. Like it's like
Yeah.
it's a little weird, but if for friends or whatever, I use it.
Yeah.
Absolutely, man. Come on.
Man. So, the next thing I wanna talk about a little bit, we kinda talked about it before, but Acolyte, man. So you're going tomorrow, huh?
Yeah, man. So yeah, I got hit up by the Star Wars account last week, and they were like, first they started following me on TikTok, which that alone I was just like, what? Like the Star Wars
Yeah.
account is following me? Like that's nuts. Um, and then yeah, and then they send me a message and they're like, hey, we'd like to invite you and a guest to the premiere of the Acolyte. And then I was like, what the hell? Like, that's insane. Like, I just like freaked out and I was like, this is so cool. So yeah, that's tomorrow. I'll be there. So so people watching, so today's Wednesday, right? So
Yep.
tomorrow's Thursday. Um, the 20, what? So
23rd.
23rd tomorrow. Yeah. And yeah, I'm gonna be heading up to Hollywood. It's at the El Capitan
Yeah.
Theater. And yeah, man, I'm kind of excited to just film it all and like I'll probably do like a blog type
Ooh,
video from
yeah,
YouTube.
yeah.
And then of course, so like Instagram and TikTok and stuff. But
This is your first, like, premiere?
my first Star Wars premiere, yeah,
Yeah.
I got invited to like a Ghostbusters one in LA. But it
Mm.
was like the LA, like early sneak peek. It wasn't like the red carpet premiere.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
But yeah, this is my first like red carpet, like walking through,
That's
where I'm from.
exciting because, like, most of, like, the cast should be there and, like, Filoni and all them should be hanging around.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
that's
man.
gonna be
I
cool.
I'm super excited. Yeah, I saw, we were talking a little bit about this, but like, yeah, I saw like they picked a few of the influencers, and they had like a
Yeah.
round table with the director, and then Filoni just shows up, and I'm like, man, that's so cool.
Yeah.
I'm just happy to get invited to the to the red carpet premiere.
Yeah.
Can't even imagine being there, sitting there, and talking to Filoni.
Yeah.
You know?
That's awesome, man, and that's cool, you get to see it almost 2 weeks early. It's the first 2 episodes you guys are gonna get to watch tomorrow, right?
I think so. Yeah, I think it'd be the first two. Hopefully they do three, but it's more than likely
Oh,
going to be the first two. Yeah.
yeah. That is so dope. I did you went to Anaheim Celebration, right?
Yeah.
You didn't get into the Kenobi red carpet premiere?
I didn't get in. No, I wasn't there for the red carpet premiere now.
Oh, so I was lucky
Mhm.
and we got into the Lucasfilm panel that very first day at Anaheim,
Ah,
and then we got the gold wristbands to come back
gotcha.
for the red carpet that night, and, like, that was my only experience, and, like, it was just cool, like, walking the red carpet
Mhm.
into the auditorium. We watched the first 2 episodes, and, like, before they started, Ewan McGregor, Deborah Chow came out, kinda talked to us for a little bit. We watched it, and when it finished, the entire cast came out on stage, which was nuts. They were there the whole time watching it with us. So,
Yeah.
like, that was such an amazing experience, and you're gonna have, like, so much fun tomorrow being at the actual that theater, that famous theater that they do all that stuff at, man. I
Yeah.
can't even imagine, man.
Yeah, man. No, I'm super excited about it. Just being there. Yeah, no, I actually remember. I remember that because I did get. Remember, is it like a lottery and like you'd get for Star Wars
Yeah,
Celebration?
for the panel.
And I ended up getting into the panel, but I ended up getting into the spillover room. So in this
Oh,
the
they
secondary
didn't get the wristbands, it was
I
just the main one.
Right. I mean, we still had a wristband because we still had, it was like, but the spillover. So they told us, they're like, oh, like tonight, you're able to come back, you got your wristband, just,
Oh,
but you
yeah.
have to watch it in the spillover room. And I'm like,
Mm.
I'm like, I'm cool with that. Like, I'll watch it we had an Airbnb with a bunch of other collectors.
Yeah.
So we just all sat there and watched it together instead. So,
Yeah, I would've did that too because we only got to see it, like, an hour early because it dropped on Disney Plus early that day anyway,
yeah.
but yeah, that spillover room, nah, I'd rather be cozy up at the Airbnb with everyone, like, for sure.
With all the
Yeah.
homies. Yeah.
So, speaking of celebration and conventions and stuff,
Yeah.
how many celebrations have you been to?
I've actually only been to 2. I've been only to the 2 Anaheim ones. I've only been to the local.
Oh, the 2015 and the 2022, right?
Yep, yep. Those are the only 2 that I've been to. I thought about it, like, when it was back in Florida, and
Mhm.
then last year, I was, like, really tempted to go to the UK one, but I'm
Mm.
like, "No, like, let's just see where it ends up the next year." But Japan, I'm there. I'll be in Japan.
You got tickets?
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
let's go.
Be there, man. I'm excited for that one because, and I told my family, I'm like, look, I want to go to this convention, but we know what? We're gonna go for 2 weeks. We're gonna make it a family vacation. We're
Smart.
gonna go like Tokyo Disney and like go explore, Japan, and then
Yeah.
I'll go to my convention.
So, have you ever been to Japan before?
No, so
Me
that
neither, man. This trip is like a 2 for 1 because 'cause I've always wanted to go to Japan, but from Florida, that 18-hour flight, I'm like, "I don't know," but now that celebration's there, like, bro, I my first celebration was 2017 Orlando, and I was hooked, and
yeah,
I haven't missed since then. Like, I went to Chicago 2019, I went to Anaheim 2022, I went to London 2023,
yeah.
I'll be in Japan. So, like, right away, I got my tickets, I have hotels booked, I'm about to book my flights. Bro, look what I got today. Yen.
Oh, you already got some yen? Nice.
Yeah, because it's super like, the
Cheap
yen
right
is
now,
super
right?
cheap.
Yeah.
So, like, I have Bank of America. I just went to the website. I put 200 bucks in real quick, 30,000 yen, and they shipped it to me, and I got it in 2
Oh, they
days.
they ship it. Okay.
Yeah, Bank of America, yeah. So, like, every whenever I have extra money, 50 bucks here, 100 bucks here, I'm just gonna just turn it into
Yeah,
yen. That way I can't spend it. So it's gonna just sit here and really be saved versus if it was just in my bank account or, I might get tempted by something.
yeah.
But
And not only that, but like once it actually like let's say you use it later, like over there. I mean, well, I guess you'd have to convert it anyways. But
yeah.
if the yen goes back up, then you're losing money there. So right there, you hold it.
Yeah, I'm
That's it.
gaining, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. So, it's the lowest it's ever been. So, if it goes lower, I'm gonna get more, but eventually, I'm guessing it's gonna have to go back up.
yeah,
So, we'll see.
yeah, man.
But, yeah, I'm doing something similar to you, like, I'll probably be doing 11 days.
Mm,
My younger brother's coming with me, so it's gonna be his first celebration, and he's really big into anime, so
yeah,
he's gonna go nuts over there.
ah,
So super hype. I'm gonna hit up, both Disney's, Universal. Have you seen the prices for the park tickets over there?
Dude, it's crazy cheap,
It's like
like
60
$60.
bucks,
Yeah,
70 bucks.
insane, man.
I'm
Yeah,
going to Disney actually in 2 weeks, and I don't have the annual pass. I just bought a day pass.
yeah,
It was like 140, bro. I'm
yeah,
like, "What?"
yeah.
Over there, I could go into 3 parks for that
Yeah.
price.
Oh, and then the food and, like, the souvenirs are, like, dirt like, the little
Cheap.
Minnie Mouse ears, my wife collects those Minnie Mouse ears. Here,
Yeah.
they're, like, $40, right? They're $11 over there, and I'm like,
Yeah.
"Man, let's do this." Like, let's
Yeah.
the hotels are not that bad, the flights are not that bad. We started looking at them; they're, like,
Yeah.
$900 round trip, about 1,000, but still,
Yeah.
like, that's still pretty cheap for a round trip.
For you, because 'cause you're on the West
Oh,
Coast.
yeah, you're
Me from Florida, it's gonna be about 1,800 round trip total, which is
oh,
yeah, which is like, that sucks, but literally, it's okay because once you're there, like, the hotels I booked were dirt cheap.
yeah.
Food and travel while you're there is all cheap, so, like, it balances out, but it's just gonna hurt when we book those flights, man, because
Yeah,
it's a
'cause you're
lot.
paying in dollars too, like, it's here and yeah, man. But yeah, I'm super excited. This year actually, I guess, well, yeah, I guess leaking over to the next year,
Mhm.
it's probably the most conventions that I'm probably gonna hit. So,
Nice.
um, I so this last year, I just mainly hit, like, the big ones, like, San Diego Comic Con. I'm in San Diego, so, like,
Yeah.
I go to San Diego, I go to WonderCon, I went to LA Comic Con, and then it was my first time going to
M
Orlando for MegaCon.
MegaCon.
I was like,
Yeah.
man, I got to do this now. Next year, I'm doing it. So now this year, I'm going to be hitting up. Obviously San Diego Comic Con's coming up. I just hit
Mhm.
up WonderCon. I'll be at LA Comic Con. I'll be at D23 as
Mhm.
well. We got and that D23 one, dude, I'm super excited because again, it was one of those like lottery things where you got to just jump in and buy your tickets. But
Yeah.
for the big panels, this time around, you're able to reserve your seat for the panel.
'Cause they're separate, right? It's, like, at a different arena this time, right?
Right, right. They're on the bigger arena, so you're able to actually purchase your ticket depending on how close you are. Well, I ended up getting the top section, but it's the very first row of the top section. So I'm like looking right
Mm.
down at the stage,
Yeah.
and the legends, I think it's legends, yeah, the legends ceremony, it's
Uh-huh.
going to be Harrison Ford, it's going to be John Williams, it's going to be,
What?
yeah, who else, there's like a few other Star Wars ones that I'm just like, oh my god, like I can't believe it.
Wow.
But yeah, so I'm going to be there at D23. I got invited to Rebel Scum Con, so I'll be there in June.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that then they're really cool because they're like they're accommodating me to to go over there and just help them
Nice.
stuff, and
Yeah.
they're gonna give me my own panel there, and we'll see what else we do there, but yeah, I'll be
Yeah.
there for that in June, and then what else? There's another one. What else was I? Oh, maybe Dragon Con. I'm still
Oh,
kind of
in Atlanta, right? Is where
Atlanta.
Dragon Con is?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I'm still kind of on the fence on that one. And then the following year, obviously, you got Star Wars Celebration, and then I just booked that cruise right after Celebration.
Oh,
That's
that Galaxy
the
Cruise or
Galaxy
whatever?
Cruise, yeah.
Yeah. That, like, Bo-Katan's gonna be on there. Isn't Tamora gonna be on there?
Tomorrow, yeah. What's his name? Warwick Davis is going to be on there.
Damn.
There's a bunch of them that are going to be on there. Um, And yeah, so I'm super excited for that too. It's just gonna be me and my wife on that. We're not gonna take the kids.
Mhm.
So be kind of cool to. She was a little iffy about it because she was like, "What? We're gonna come back from Japan and literally like the next week just immediately go." And I'm like,
Yeah.
"What? Star Wars? Leave me alone."
Oh, that is so awesome. That Rebel Scum show looked, like, interesting. I
Mm.
kinda wanted to go, but, like, I was just saving booking Japan stuff, and then I got ICC Con in
Oh,
October that I'm going to. Have you ever been to ICC Con?
I haven't, and I've recently been collecting the original Kenner figures. So like I've heard that it's very focused on like vintage and like
It is the, what's his name that brought the Star Wars contract to Kenner? Jim Swearigan, I think
yeah,
is his name.
Swearingen. Yeah, yeah.
Dude, he's cool as hell. So I got this, hold on, let me grab it. So we went to ICC Con, me and 3 of my buddies, we all hunted down vintage X-Wings, right?
Yep.
And we had him sign it
Yep.
because this was his favorite vehicle. Bro, autograph is $10, bro.
Yeah.
So, like, this right here
Yeah.
is just, like, memory, nostalgia, history, signed by the guy
Yep.
who brought the Star Wars contract to Kenner. He had a panel there too. That's how we found out this story because, like,
Mm.
he went to, like Lucas Ranch, and
Yeah.
he, like, kinda saw the script before the movie came out,
Yeah.
and, like, this is where I got that, which is
Yeah.
nuts. So
Yeah, Jim
he's
Swearingen. So we actually, so I also do a podcast YouTube show called Collection Wars.
yeah,
Yeah, with my buddy Michael, and we had him on the show, and he was telling us
yeah,
that story about like that was
yes,
his favorite thing because that's the
yeah,
design. He designed the Tie Fighter as well.
yep,
That guy was really cool. And there, the other one was is it Kim Simmons? Kim Simmons, the
mm,
photographer for
yeah,
all the backs, like all the Kenner pictures. And
oof,
all that. We had him on the show too, and I know he goes to ICCC a lot. Yeah, man, I, I I just I don't know how I could swing it with my
you
wife.
got a lot, yeah.
Another one, let's go. You know.
So I went last year for the first time. Literally, it felt like I was at Star Wars Celebration, but just a lot less packed, a lot more calmer, and way cheaper than
Hmm.
Celebration.
Yeah.
That's exactly how it felt. And it's funny, they also do it's usually like at a hotel or near a hotel.
Hmm.
And at the hotel, they do lobby swaps and room sales,
Hmm.
which I've never experienced that. So we walked into the hotel,
Yeah.
and in the lobby, there's just tables everywhere, and everybody is buy, selling, trading
Damn.
anything and everything. Like this one dude had a graded like 1980s Kenner Millennium Falcon in the box, brand new for like 20,000. Dude in the corner had a sail barge on sale, like
Wow.
crazy stuff. And then in the rooms, one of the rooms, one dude had like 6 of these
Hmm.
X-Wings on the bed. And there's a picture of Jim in there looking like holding one, looking at it.
That's
So
fun.
he's in some random dude's hotel room
Just
looking at an X-Wing, and there's like 6 of them on the bed that he designed. Like it's just
yeah,
so crazy. So
dude.
ICC Con is a blast. I also, when I went, I think I have it right here. Yeah, the Rebels cast was there, so
Hmm.
I got 4 autographs in 30 minutes because there's no line there. It's so easy. So I had this Rebels poster, and I had Ezra,
Yeah,
Sabine, Hera, and Zeb. All 4 of them signed this there in
dude.
like a 30-minute period.
That's crazy, man. So all you
That
just need is Ashley, really, right? I mean,
So I got
Freddie,
Sam Witwer's at Ocala Comic Con. I need Ashley, I need Freddie Prince, and I
Freddie.
need Lars for
Yeah,
Thrawn. But I should be able. Ashley's at
yeah,
every show. Freddie Prince is the ones that's a pain in the ass, and Lars, he's been starting to do shows lately, so I think he's gonna start popping up at more events like New York Comic Con, maybe at Japan. So I'll be able to finish it by then
yeah.
for
Oh,
sure.
oh yeah.
But yeah, ICC Con, man, is a freaking blast. So that's kind of why I didn't do Rebel Scum. I
Hmm.
probably will do it next year just because, like, just to see who they bring. Like, they're gonna have Ahmed Best there, man, which is
Yeah,
cool. Like showing him love, and like, there's a lot of cool like OT people there, prequel people there. Like, it's a lot, man.
yeah, yeah. No, I mean they have a good lineup, and and those guys are really cool too. Like I Rebel Scum was actually like my home base for a long time. So like really before Facebook groups were really kind of big, and even before like YouTube, like kind of communities were a thing.
Yeah,
It's like all the collectors or all the we either hung out or like shared news or whatever on the RPF or Rebel Scum forums, right? Those forums,
yeah,
those old school forums, right? Like
yeah,
upload the little pictures, like I
Yeah,
don't know,
yeah,
HTML almost. And
yeah.
and yeah, that's where I learned a lot about just the prop replica, world, right? And
Mhm.
it's funny because like back in those days, it was like there was beef, right, between like certain collectors, and there was like already like just like always and everywhere, right?
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so the Rebel Scum guys, I know they bought out that website, and then they're trying, kind of kind of grow it. And I don't remember when they actually bought it, but I remember talking to them at Star Wars Celebration this last time, and
Mhm.
they're like, yeah, like we, love to work with you in some capacity, and like, do some kind
Yeah.
of like cross promotion or something. And I'm like, yeah, absolutely, man. So
Yeah.
at LA Comic Con is where I ran into them, and they're like, hey, what's up, Gabe? Like, dude, we'll get you out there. We got you on the hotel. We got you on the passes. Like,
Nice.
just come through. And I'm like, oh hell yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
So, the last thing I wanna talk about, and I wanna ask you about your experience because you met this person, but so I'm also going to Chicago Fan Expo in August. So, dude, I almost had a heart attack. So it's May the 4th,
Yeah.
right? And I'm watching Phantom Menace, and, like, I just happened to check my phone, and I saw on, like, the Celebration Facebook group, someone posted Mark Hamill, Chicago, and I was like, "Is this happening?" Because like, last year for
Yeah.
San Fran Expo, I work retail, so I couldn't get off Black Friday weekend, and it broke my heart because he hasn't been at a show since 2017.
Mhm.
Dude is rare.
Yeah.
So, I'm watching Phantom Menace, booking booking a hotel in Chicago, buying my tickets to Fan Expo, and then on Tuesday, the tickets went on sale. I bought photo op, autograph, and the gold ticket to his panel
Yeah. Yeah.
so quick because like this is like such a
That's awesome.
rare thing. And like I've met Hayden 3 times, I've met Hewen twice, and it's amazing meeting them.
Yeah.
Like it's amazing, but like I feel like this is next level, and I don't know what to expect and how to feel. Like, but I saw you met Mark. Was it at San Fran last year you went?
Yeah.
What was that like meeting Luke Skywalker?
Yeah, so that was a trip too, because so I had just it was like November, right, of this last year, and we I was lucky enough to get invited to tour Lucasfilm. And I was over there, and we got to tour Lucasfilm and all that. And on our drive back, I get a call from my buddy Gino. And Gino Sabatino is the one who did that Yoda. Have you seen that Yoda? His Yoda?
Yeah.
All made from the original castings, all made from like the original molds. Like this thing is the Yoda from Empire Strikes. Like forget anyone else that you've seen.
Mhm.
This is the only one that's like true to the Yoda. So, anyways, he hits me up and he's like, "Hey man, like, I got a booth at Fan Expo San Francisco. Um, we're gonna try to get the Yoda in front of Mark Hamill. We got, and he was like, he listed out a roster. He's like, we got, we got Carly King's gonna come join the team. We got my buddy Justin's gonna join us. He's like, and I would love to have you on here so you could film and like you could help with the social media stuff. I'm like,
Yeah.
all right. And I'm literally driving back with my wife, and I'm like, wait, when is this? He's like, next week. And I'm like, I was like, and then
Yeah.
and it's like it's Thanksgiving weekend, right? It's
Yeah, Black Friday
on
weekend,
Black
man,
Friday,
yeah.
on Thanksgiving. We have a bunch of family coming in town, and I'm like, I like look at my wife. I'm like, look, it's Mark Hamill. He hasn't done a signing for years. I'm
Yes.
like, there's an opportunity for me to like meet him and maybe even interact with them because of the Yoda. I'm like, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity because we don't know when
Yeah.
he's going to sign again. We don't know when he's going to be around. I'm like, I know it's Thanksgiving. I know we got family in town, but I got to do this. And my wife's like, all right, fine, do it, go. Right. I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah. So I
Your
booked.
wife is awesome, bro. Your wife is awesome.
You know what? I think she's now desensitized to like the Star Wars stuff. At first I got a lot of shit for like
Yeah.
all this stuff, but now she gets it, and once you start seeing like that companies were paying me and stuff for like promotions. She's like, all right, fine, like
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
you could do it. But yeah, so I got I booked my hotel, I got my flight because we had passes because of my buddy Gino. So yeah,
Mhm.
so we show up, and by the way, I didn't buy like an autograph, I didn't buy a photo op, anything, because we're in our head, we're like, we're gonna meet him because of the Yoda.
Yeah,
He's gonna want to see this Yoda. Well, we get there day one, and it's like impossible because he's just so busy because it's like nonstop. It's like
yeah.
he's just like signing. It's like that. Like he can't even interact because he's signing so many things. He's
Uh-huh.
doing all the photo ops, and the photo ops are quick. So there's never an opportunity for us to be like, hey, check out this Yoda. So then the next day, I saw, because they had sold out. The next day, early in the morning, I saw that they opened up some photo ops, and I'm like, oh shit! Like,
Yeah,
I mean, it's now or never because we might not be able to get to see him with the Yoda. So
yeah.
I was gonna do it. I pay the $500, and one of my buddies is like, "Hey man, I'll go in halves with you, and we could both get in there." And I'm like, "Nah, I'm good."
No.
I'm like, "I'm
Mm-mm.
good." Like this is my childhood, man. Like this is
Yeah.
something special to me. Like I gotta just do it myself. So yeah, so I get in there. I didn't think I was gonna get like emotional, because I'm in
Yeah.
line and I'm chatting with people all around, and it's all a good time. But as soon as you kind of get into that little booth, they open up the curtain and there's like two or three people like in front of me, like to go. And like I just see him sitting there, and I'm like, whoo, like this like rush of like just like emotions just like came over me, and I'm like, oh my god, am I gonna fucking cry right now? Like what the hell is
Yeah.
wrong with me? And I'm like, whew,
Yeah.
like I honestly like seeing him like that close and in person, like honestly, like gave me this like overwhelming feeling. So then I was like trying to calm myself down. I'm like, come on, man, like I'm not gonna sit here like grown ass man start like tearing up here. Like I'm like, all right, whew, I got two people in front of me, and it's pretty quick, right? It's like
Yeah.
boom, next, go, picture, next, boom, picture, and he
Yeah.
doesn't really interact with the people. So finally, like it's my turn, and I'm like, whew, whew. And like I get up there, and I'm wearing an ILM shirt because I had just come back from
Ooh.
Lucasfilm the last week. So I got to go to their company store, and I got a bunch of just swag from the
Yeah.
store. So I'm wearing an ILM shirt, and then he like stops like the machine, right? The whole process, and he's like, "You work for ILM?" And I'm like, oh, no, like I don't work for I know some friends, and he's like, oh, yeah, I know some people that work at ILM. And then picture move. Like I didn't know
Wow.
what to say because I was like, oh my god, like what?
Yeah.
Like, I almost felt like an imposter. Like, why am I wearing this shirt in front of him?
Yeah.
So like, yeah, my picture came out all awkward because I'm like, like I
Yeah.
was just like nervous, but that was just crazy. And then again, I didn't do any autographs, but I ran into some buddies that do autographs, like mail order autographs,
Uh-huh.
and they had something like 20 something tickets for autographs. And they're like, hey, Gabe, like we have a bunch of tickets for like this time, and this time. They're like, if you want, just jump in line with me and I'll give you the tickets, and you have those things signed. And I'm
Uh-huh.
like, ooh, maybe I'll do that. So I got
Yeah.
to see him two more times through them.
Ooh.
So now I didn't really interact with them because, like I said,
Yeah.
he's just like head down, just signing, right? And his
Mhm.
handlers are like, blue right there. And he's like, okay, I appreciate
Yeah.
it. But the cool story about that one is that so my buddy's wife is kind of ahead of us, and she's in
Mhm.
a Princess Leia costume. And she pulls out her phone, and you're not supposed to pull out your phone, but she's like, oh no, I just want to show Mark like his dogs. Like I took a picture with his dogs, and like the security guard's like, all right. And then like Mark looks up, and he's like, he looks at her phone. He's like, look. And he's like, oh, is that Millie? Or I think it's the dog or something like that. And he's
Uh-huh.
like, yeah, I saw that earlier. Chelsea showed me that. And you know what I said? Great cleavage. And I look at my friend, and I'm like, dude, Mark just talked about your wife's cleavage. I was like, oh, what? That's so cool. Like we walked out, and we're just like in shock that he said that, like, kind of in front of us.
Yeah, yeah.
Dude, that's insane. That's a story right there. It's like, for my buddy,
Yeah.
especially, like, yeah, Mark Hamill complimented my wife's cleavage.
Wow. Dude, that is so crazy, like and that's what I've been trying to focus on is making sure when I walk up to him that I keep it together, because I know the second I walk away, it's gonna once it hits me that I met Luke, the
Mhm,
tears are gonna come, man. I just gotta, like, hold it in, bro, because like, that's like you said, like, our childhood, man, like, I grew up the whole '90s, my dad had the VHS box set, so the
mhm.
whole '90s, all I did was rewatch those movies over and over and over on VHS. So, like, this means so much. That's why the second I saw it, like, the prices are ridiculous, but, like, bro, it's Mark.
Yeah.
When this might not happen again, like, he could go in hiding for another 6, 7 years.
Yep.
Like, who knows?
Yeah.
So, I hopped on it immediately, and it's so random that it's Chicago Fan Expo. I know fan expos, they run, like, all of them, like San Fran, Chicago. I wonder why he's making a trip from Cali all the way to Chicago.
Yeah, I don't know. I know, so his manager, Ben Stevens, is the one that kind of manages the signings and all that. There's probably some agreement with Fan Expo, right? And they just happen to be like, oh, like his schedule opened up maybe that,
Oh,
right?
maybe.
Versus like
Yeah.
the Philadelphia one, or because right, the last one was Philly, I think. So maybe that's what it is, but who knows? I That's why I did the same thing with Harrison Ford. So they
Oh,
did, there was a mail away private signing for Harrison Ford, and I
that
was
was,
like,
like, 2020, right? During lockdown, wasn't that when
no,
that
it's
happened?
actually just recently, like maybe last year and a half.
Oh,
It-
that's
but it,
rare.
but the signings were like $1,500. But I was like, fuck, like I
It's the
have
only way you're gonna get it. Yeah, there's no other way.
like, unless I buy it like secondary market, but I wanted a plaque for my Millennium Falcon. So I was like, you know what? Like, again, you just never know. Especially Harrison Ford. I mean, he's like what, like mid 80s, right? Like
Yeah, man.
he's up.
Yeah.
So just never know, man.
Yeah, and, like, Natalie has the sign in right now too, because she doesn't do anything, but, like, a small part of me, because there's a chance that she could show up at Japan Celebration. It's the 20-year anniversary of Revenge of the Sith. How cool would it be for that panel, Hayden, Hewen, and Natalie on stage talking about Revenge of the Sith? And if she did photos and autos, and if she did, like, a dual photo with her and Hayden,
Aiden,
wow, talk about rare opportunity.
that
I I'd be all over that in a heartbeat.
that'd be insane, dude. Like that's crazy. Um, yeah, man. I hope that that's a thing, but I'm also nervous for that because then I'm like, damn, how much is it gonna be? First
Oh, a
off,
lot,
and
a
then
lot. Oh my god.
how fast is it gonna sell out? And like the line, I'm
Oh,
gonna
yeah.
spend a whole day just waiting in line for that.
Yeah, man, yeah. So, that was pretty much everything that I had. You wanna let the people know what you have coming up next that they could look forward to?
Yeah, yeah. Again, if I'm gonna take them on a journey to the world premiere of the Acolyte. So I'll probably
Mm,
do like a blog style video for my YouTube channel. Um, and then again on Instagram and on TikTok, I'll do some short form videos.
yeah.
There's some new products coming out from EFX Collectibles, like the Bo-Katan helmet, the Dark Saber, and the Soka Sabers are all coming out. So I usually get, like, they'll send them to me early, so I'll be doing reviews of those probably
Nice.
coming up in June, and then Regal Robot also. They just sent me the Jar Jar maquette, so I have that.
Yeah.
I did the video on that, but there's another one that they just sent me that hasn't been announced, but
Ooh.
keep an eye out. Yeah, go subscribe. Star Wars Replicas on YouTube. Um, and yeah, that the next one's pretty dope too. So
Hell yeah. So for you guys watching, I'm gonna put the links to all his channels down in the description. Go check him out. Gabe, thank you so much, man, for coming on. It was a blast, man.
yeah, man. Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it, dude.
No, of course. And that's going to be it for this episode of Sith Talk, guys. We'll see you guys next week. Bye, guys.